Hello, and welcome back to Streaming Music Past, Present and Future with me, Stephen. In this episode, I'll be continuing to share my interview with Alan, owner of Collect and Survive record shop in Liverpool. While the last episode was centred around Alan's history and experiences within the legal side of music streaming, in the second half of the interview, I wanted to learn more about how streaming affects his business now. Collect and Survive is a fantastic independent record store, and Alan works tirelessly buying and selling records to turn a profit to support not only his lifetime passion in vinyl, but also his family. Alan also regularly hosts small bands and artists in his shop to perform gigs to the local community. This was one of the things we spoke about first.
I think even if you're not quote-unquote signed, coming and see it and you play at a record shop and you have that sort of little scene that you've created, even like seeing at your own CD when you're quite small, I think that has a massive effect on your confidence.
When I listened back to this part of the interview, it sprung so many more ideas in my mind about the mental side of this. How is mental health and confidence handled within the music industry with so much of the modern day industry being held online, especially throughout the COVID-19 pandemic? A pre-pandemic study held in 2019 by Swedish digital platform Record Union concluded that 73% of independent musicians struggled with their mental health. This number rose to 80% when they narrowed it down to just the 18 to 25 demographic. This can be due to irregular working patterns, discrimination, sexual harassment, financial worries and touring. This makes me wonder if streaming platforms are helping or hindering the issue. When I researched this issue more, the sheer amount of high-profile artists who had cancelled tour dates due to their mental health caught me off guard. Wet Leg, Disclosure, Justin Bieber, Shawn Mendes, Arlo Parks and Sam Fender have all cancelled shows due to mental health concerns in 2022 alone. Obviously streaming isn't to blame, but I can't help but think the model of squeezing the internet out of every penny by feeling the need to cater to certain demographics with every small aspect of their lives is helping. Next, I asked Alan about whether he thinks the streaming model has impacted the way music is made, and whether the rises of certain genres such as hip-hop can be attributed, in part, to streaming.
I want to think about it for a second because I'm just trying to put myself in a position of, I don't think so, because I think popular music has always been popular based on culture and based on progress, and I think the format to consume it has just always been, the format to consume it. That's the format by which you can have this music and consume it. It's no doubt shaped how music is being made, obviously, because I mean, definitely because people will. So, for example, a good example is maybe not potentially kick genres out, but definitely change the way in which music is made. So albums weren't.
I disagree in part with Alan here. I do think the streaming model in part can be credited with changing the way in which we listen to music. I certainly think music is geared towards shorter and more snappy bursts of entertainment. Recently, a lot of popular artists such as Meghan Trainor have opted towards releasing shorter singles rather than longer, more drawn-out albums. I think this is a good strategy for artists as it keeps more attention on their work rather than keeping fans waiting and the hype around the artist dying down.
Yeah, the majority of things that were sold, lots of compilations were sold and lots of greatest hits was the best selling albums are greatest hits because people didn't go out and buy the first 9 Queen albums, right? Mm-hmm. Unless you were a big fan. Yeah. People generally would have bought the greatest hits in 1980. They wouldn't have gone, I really love all them Queen songs, they're going to go buy the last Queen albums. They'll go, no.
I think this is an extremely relevant point by Alan. In NME's The 28 Best Greatest Hits Albums of All Time, released in May 2019, the latest album in this list is 2009's The Who, Greatest Hits and More. I think this fact speaks volumes to just show how little we see greatest hits albums nowadays. I believe streaming certainly has had an impact on this, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Streaming just encourages listeners to go back and listen to the music in the way it was intended. We now have the This Is playlists on Spotify, which I think is more than a reasonable replacement for greatest hits albums. It saves money for consumers, and if you don't like the songs on the playlist, you can just move on to the next artist you want to check out. No more running back to the music shop to return your copy of Decade by Neil Young. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and once again a huge thank you to Alan for giving up his time to give his professional insight for this series. Join me in the next episode when I'll be using artists' accounts and consumer surveys to try and understand the impact music streaming is having on the industry itself. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.